Hey, what's up? In this video we are going to have a look at Stormveil Castle from a level design and world design perspective. So let's get right into it. Stormveil Castle is many players' first legacy dungeon, and that for good reason. Everything points towards it. We start off the game at the Chapel of Anticipation, right next to Stormveil Castle. After we wake up from the fight versus the Grafted Scion, we find ourselves right in the view of Stormveil Castle. The guidance of grace is pointing us towards Stormveil Castle, and even Vare, the White Mask, tells us we have to go there. So let's have a look at Stormveil Castle from the map first. Stormveil Castle is located at a northwestern corner of Limgrave, right at the border to Liurnia. Starting from Stormveil Check, we can see a path branching off the main path, leading us to the entrance of Stormveil Castle. Here we have to beat Margaret the Fell, the boss blocking the entrance to Stormveil Castle itself. Once we've defeated Margaret, we can finally enter. From this point onward, the map is only showing us the rough layout and two nice points of interest. One being the bridge leading towards the Divine Tower of Limgrave, and the other one being this darker area in the north, which is the final boss fight. And this is actually the genius part of the map design in Elden Ring. The map isn't telling us exactly where to go, there aren't any arrows pointing us towards the boss fight itself, it's just a darker area. It is a visual indicator that here might be something of interest. And now let's just go through Stormveil Castle from start to finish, starting at the Stormhill Shack. Let's start off with a little voiceover. Enemies aren't attacking me here because I'm doing this whole thing now with Cheat Engine, so I can actually concentrate on talking and not on fighting itself. Makes it easier to talk about everything. And I'm starting to analyze Stormveil Castle once we are actually in Stormveil Castle, so technically Stormveil Castle starts after the upcoming fight versus Margaret the Fell Omen. We have to go through this tunnel. Luckily there is a set of grace right in front of the boss fight itself, and if you're having trouble you can actually summon an NPC that we will later meet in the castle itself, Sorcerer Roger. And I'll see you after the fight in live commentary. So this is the entrance to Castle Stormveil. And look how beautiful it looks. We have the storm, a lot of hawks probably, or birds, don't know what birds these are, but probably hawks. And we have this very gorgeous looking castle. We have a lot of towers, and the west side is actually a bit broken down because it probably got attacked and partially destroyed. But first of all, let's have a look at this place we are at right now in front of the castle, because this is quite interesting. We have a way that is quote-unquote flat. You can actually get carts up here fairly easily. You just have to pull them up here and then into the castle itself. And on the sides you have stairs, but they for some reason stop at this point, so well, you might as well stay on the middle path. But what's a bit odd is that you have this big of a road where you can potentially get carts upstairs, but then you have this small area to push the cart through. It's like maybe 3.5 meters, maybe 4 meters, maybe. So these big coffin-like things wouldn't fit through here. Or maybe they would, but I don't know if the height is No, they probably wouldn't fit through here. And even trolls would have problems getting through here. Like they have to actually squeeze themselves through here, which is funny. So a broad road and then a small entrance. And you will hear this a lot, but I have some problems with this actual part of the wall itself, because we have a tower up there, or at least something that people are supposed to stand on. We have a tower here, right? So why having a tower when no one can access this tower? Because no one can get into this tower itself. For some reason they forgot doors or something like that. As you can see, there is no door, so when you are actually on this wall that is now destroyed, you can't get into the tower. There is no entry point here, no entry point, no entry point. And I will point this out a lot because there are actually a lot of missing entry points, doors, whatever. And you can probably see, maybe not from here, but now. But these towers are most likely full of stone, so they're not hollow, so you can't get into the interior of the tower, which is fine, but kind of odd that you can't get up there without a ladder. So you can basically put a ladder on the wall itself and climb up to the tower, but that's kind of meh. But I will point this out a lot. But let's talk about the... what's it called? The storytelling here. This got destroyed and for some reason there's still fire burning, but it got partially destroyed. By who is the question? And it looks like a dragon attack. Because what siege equipment would actually damage a tower like that? It looks like scratching or maybe some breath attacks. And from the side it actually looks like bombardment, but no one is going to bombard the castle from the ocean itself. Like, the ocean is right down there. Nothing can shoot up that high, so it's basically a dragon attack. What kind of dragon is kinda unclear. Looks like fire or heat, at least, like some sort of heat. So it might be an ancient dragon with the lightning attacks, or a fire breath, or it could be a normal dragon, I don't know. Here we have another grace for some reason, because they like putting graces everywhere. There are actually 5 graces in this small area. There are 5 graces for some reason. I mean, this is unnecessary. I get why they're doing this, or what's in their mind, but it's still silly. It doesn't matter. So, and here we have a gate that we can't actually get through right now. So our only option is going down here, where there is, for some reason, there are these stairs. It's just, I think this is very random. This is just, and look how high up this is. They actually built a wall from down there, you can't even see the ground, up to this point, very high. This is only possible in fantasy games, like, where do you get the material from? Like, holy hell. But this is something that you just need to ignore, how they get their materials. We can actually jump down here. For some reason this part exists. I mean, maybe you need to repair something, so... But I don't know how they actually put these wooden beams in the stone, so you have to put them in the stone before you're, or while you're actually building this whole thing, so it's not scaffolding. Then we have here some items. And this leads to nothing, basically. This is just here to maybe get a flower. From a level design, this area is kind of pointless. From a world building design or world design, it's actually fine, because this is a rock, or this is a piece of rock you build your castle on top of, and maybe there are some ways you can go that you didn't build upon, so you can't actually terraform it. I mean, you could possibly break it off, but that would be quite dangerous, so you just leave it here. And there was a big battle here. We can see all these weaponry laying around, same in the boss arena. And this might not be a surprise. We are already I'm already talking quite for a long time here. We're not even in the castle itself, so this is a 2 or 3 or 4 part video, I think, alone for this castle, because I can talk a lot. Let's enter this room here.
You there? Come over here, would you?
All right.
You're tarnished, aren't you?
Yes.
I would advise against taking the main gate into the castle. It's tightly guarded by hardened old hands.
Okay.
Oh, try the opening right here. The guards don't know about it.
Oh well, okay.
You breach the castle undetected. Yes,
Right.
You're just the kind of tarnished that I like. I pray for your success.
We will see about this. So this is a interesting character, because I have no idea what weird person this is, because look how long the neck is. That's not a normal person. Look how tall he is. So I don't know what race this is, and he's missing an arm, right? He's missing an arm. Now that I see it. And he doesn't really sound trustworthy, but it makes sense. Yeah, we have a gate here, a big-ass gate, and if we look a bit closer, we can see actually some ballistas, plural of ballista, pointing at the gate itself. So when we decide, no, I want to go through the main gate, he will call someone to open the gate, and when we approach these corpses here, we are gonna get bombarded by these weapons up there. So while he doesn't seem that trustworthy, this is the better path. And if you wanna what's it called? Get every single item in the castle, then yeah, sure, you wanna go this way. And just for you to know, I'm going through this castle the way I always go through the castle to pick up every single item. So maybe I'm missing some item when maybe there's an item that I'm completely missing, but I'm not picking up the items, but this is the route that I usually take to get to Godric and 100% the castle. But let's start with this interesting room, because this room has just one entrance and it's in front of the gate. It's not behind the gate, it's in front. So this is quite interesting, and we can actually see a grace up there. This is what I mean by there are a lot of graces on one spot. I don't know what this room is used for. Maybe... yeah, I have no idea. Maybe you have to talk to someone to get into the castle. Like, what's it called? If you're not... no. I have no idea. Maybe to get entrance you have to sign something, and they want to see your papers or something like this. I don't know. Looks interesting. And oh, maybe we can actually now There's something written on there. Would be interesting to see what is actually written on there. But it is probably... I mean, I guess these are actual existing texts, but the resolution is so low that you can't really read what is written on there. This is what I just assume. And then we have here some banners. 2 banners in red with, I think, a lion. These are depicting lions, I think. So who has in this game a lion? I think that's quite clear if you know the lore. And that is, what's his name? Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. So I wonder if the lion is actually depicting Godfrey itself. So maybe this castle was under his command one day. It definitely was. I think Godfrey was the one who defeated the Storm King, right? And the Storm King, this is... I don't know if... Is the Storm King a bird? Because we get the Storm King ashes and it's in the form of a bird, a Stormhawk, so I think it was a bird. And I think these... What are they called? Are these gargoyles or are gargoyles only on churches? They look like gargoyles to me, but I don't know. These birds holding the fire up there. Then we have some armory, some Banished Knight armory, but we're going to talk about the Banished Knights a bit later on. Let's just continue. Here we have a summoning pool part, an item. We were down here just recently. And lucky us, there is this giant ass hole or dent in the wall itself, and we can actually see the wall is made out of... I don't know, if it looks kind of molten to me, right? Like we have these bricks here, and I would just assume that the wall itself is made out of bricks. Oh, sorry, made out of bricks itself, but it looks like it got singed by some fire. Could be wrong, maybe they just poured... Maybe this is natural rock, and they just carved a straight line down to the base of the rock, and then for some reason they decided to make it give it a brick wall aesthetic from the outside. That would be interesting. But here we have again claw marks. They look... I wonder, because they look also singed, like burned. I wonder if this was red lightning, because lightning is hot, so it would possibly burn something like this. For some reason, again, a torch that burns eternally. And again, lucky us, we can jump on this wall. Again, the singed part here. I'm just calling it singed. Maybe it's just a filling, but no, it's not just a filling. And yes, I think this confirms it. That this is actually molten stone. Like the brick, molten brick stone. Because it starts with the burn marks here. Quite hot. I can actually jump on here and then we can actually see. I wonder what this is, what these holes are. If this was bombardment by breath attacks. Or if they actually threw their lightning bolts in here, because this isn't a scratch. So maybe it's like a lightning glaive. And here we have the enemy types of this part of the area. There's actually another grace. Like, as I said, there are 5 graces fairly close to each other. And these enemy types are interesting. Let's have a look at one specifically. I think there's one on the ground down here, yeah. Because the theme of the castle is grafting, putting stuff on things that don't belong there, basically. And here we have the Stormhawk, a Stormhawk, possibly imprisoned one, because it's kind of hard to see, but the legs are, well, their feet got amputated and they now have long sword-like blades on their feet. And for some reason they decided to put chains on their wings, which is just weird. Because they're not really on the wings itself, right? They're more like on the feathers. And, I mean, I don't know. Usually birds couldn't fly like this, possibly, but... I mean, it looks like they were imprisoned with the chains on them. Like someone imprisoned them. And here we can see the full extent of the damage to this part of the wall. Quite extensive damage. A lot of round-shaped holes and maybe a few slashes. So I really think this was... and again with the singed hole, so I think this was red lightning that just hit the wall. Maybe like lightning spears kind of things. I wonder which type of dragon this was. Maybe the dragon that attacked Leyndell, the really big one. Was it called Landseax? No. 46, Landseax. There's so many. Some dragon, the biggest dragon, and the biggest dead dragon in Leyndell. And you need to be careful, these Stormhawks are quite annoying because for some reason, or at least I'm not sure if I'm the only one with this problem, but I have difficulties hitting targets that are flying. Not only in the sense of they're very evasive and this bird just yeeted itself off the wall itself, but I have problems gauging the distance to actual flying targets. And they're actually eating people, because why not? They're big enough, right? So they're actually eating carrion right here. And where am I? I'm down here, okay. Let's make a quick round, because I want to talk about these, in my opinion, nonsensical towers or tower placements. And I'm talking about these towers here, because there's no way you can get onto them. There's again, and this is the last time I'm talking about this extensively, but I might be pointing out here and there, which makes no sense for some reason. Because this is a tower, right? And for what are towers? To actually defend something, right? You wanna have a person up there, or maybe a few persons. So how do they get on top of this tower? There's no door. So basically the only way getting up there. And there's no wall connection to this one, not even a broken one. So this is just a tower standing here. So the only way getting up on that tower is with a big ass ladder. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't climb up this ladder. I wouldn't do that. And to be honest, I wouldn't even stand here, like this part. And this is actually the part that leads us into the castle itself. Right now we're on the outside, we are infiltrating it, and now we are here. And this is quite the interesting thing, because this right now is level design. You need something to get into the castle itself. Sure, they could make it so that here is actually a wall in the stone, that we can enter the wall itself in the interior of the wall, but they've decided to make it a wooden way, like a... I just call it scaffolding. I don't know how I would call it otherwise. It's not really scaffolding, but I just call it that. So this should have been built for a reason, right? Because why would a castle have something like this on the outside? Possibly to get on that part of the rock, of the plateau, right? Because otherwise... And usually there is no way getting on this part. We only got on this part because the wall got destroyed in a very specific area. So this wooden part is there to access this actual area we are standing on right now. But then I wonder, why does it stop here? Let's just imagine you have to build this tower. And all of the castle is standing right now. So you build your wooden parts here, and you just stop here. So you actually have to carry the stone from here, jump down for some reason, jump down even more. That's a very hard job they have here. These are just some small details. I don't hate the game for that. I'm just pointing them out, right? No harm done. This is just me explaining stuff that I notice, right? And you might not even question this yourself, right? I didn't the first time I played through this, but because I'm doing this video, I'm looking at things in a more analytic kind of way, right? Would this make sense in real life? Kinda, but not really, because you want to have something to get up there. I mean, I can't jump that high. I'm not that athletic myself, so... And look how many gaps there are. Isn't that dangerous? Because these are still nailed into the wood, right? Some nailed. Some are nailed into the wood, actually. But it's interesting. Usually you would put wood all the way through. You wouldn't leave that big of a gap, right? At least I wouldn't. And you could get stuck in there and maybe hurt yourself very badly. But let's go over to the level design for a bit. We have this way up here and this dude itself. And when I get his attention... Can you actually do the thing that you're always doing? Oh no, he just wants to attack me. Okay, no. Usually he has a trumpet and he alerts all his friends down here. This guy will rush at you, possibly, and possibly this guy as well. So usually there are 2 or 3 guys following you if you're not fast enough killing them, which is fine. So you have to basically manage their attacks, or you have to take them out before they approach. So maybe you can wait until he is patrolling backwards and then you sprint up here and kill him before these guys notice it. And then this is a little bait item, because up there is a dude who will throw firebombs at you. So this game, in this part of the game, they want to punish you for being careless. So you should be aware of your surroundings and see where there are actual enemies. And while we are here, I want to talk about these thorns. They look quite dry, like dried out, like dead thorns, and these are interesting. There are actually thorns on these dudes as well. As you can see here, there are thorns in there, and they don't mind because they're something of a husk, I guess. But these thorns are interesting to me. They're as well on this shield because, I mean, I'm one of them, right? But these thorns are interesting because what does thorns in this game mean? They're, of course, parts of or they are part of, what's it called? The Prince of Death. The thorns are part of the Prince of Death, but, now a big but. The thorns of the Prince of Death look actually different. They look different than these ones. They're actually more black, and usually there are flies flying around them. And I wonder if this is, if they built Stormveil Castle first, and then they thought of the rest, and they actually changed the thorns, but they couldn't change the castle itself, so they don't have to remake every single asset. Or maybe these thorns are just starting to form. Maybe this is a early stage of these thorns, or a late stage. Maybe this place got halfway cleansed of the influence of the Prince of Death. But as we will probably see in a different part, this is not the case. But yeah, let's get inside actually. Here's a little black nothingness, probably to drain rain, to drain water out. And then we're in this part, and I have a lot to talk about this whole part here. Let's have a look at this banner. Does it depict anything in particular? I can't really see what it... Maybe we will find another banner. Here are some dudes, same race as the other dude that sent us in here. And it's getting a bit darker. Do I have a lantern? I don't. Unlucky. And this is a little sneak path, because you can sneak around here just fine. You might get intimidated by this dude, but you can actually backstab them. Or you can blow them up, because these nicely marked barrels are actually explosive, and this one is floating. But there's seems to be some sort of powder in them, right? Maybe gunpowder, which is interesting because usually you just need smoldering butterflies and mushrooms to create these explosives, right? And when they have gunpowder, why don't they have cannons or guns like this? So in this world they are clearly using different materials to create fire bombs, so maybe there are different ways of building them. And again, nice level design, because again, if you're not aware of your surroundings, these dudes will lob fire bombs at you, and this can quickly deal lethal damage itself. Now I want to have a look at these paintings we have here. Do I have this item? Yes, I have this item. Nice. Great. Just great. Multiple painting. Why is it? We have a Stormhawk. Maybe part of the castle. It's kind of dark. No, it looks like a divine tower there, with a bridge part leading towards it. And then we have, what's his name? First Elden Lord with his stand, Sarosh, in the background, and this is not actually a stand. But, well, Sarosh I think is suppressing his bloodlust. We will talk about Godric later. And here we have a better look at the banner, again depicting a lion, this time in green, or with green background. And is it again a lion? It's kind of hard to see. What is this? It's very hard to see. So these parts, I think... Oh no, maybe not. I thought there were like tails, but it more looks like water. Kind of looks like water to me, but I don't know what creature this is supposed to be. Is it a lion or a dragon? I think I see the claws on the left side again. I really can't see what it is. The resolution is quite bad, to be honest. And it's getting dark. This means I'm talking too much. But I have so much to talk about. And I'm taking my time with this. I'm talking as much as I want here. So the interesting part is what lies behind this part, because how did they get here? When did they decide to build this wooden platform? Was it before or after the attack? Because if it was before the attack, why did the dragon spare this part particularly? How come that this part isn't damaged at all? And if you've built it after the dragon attack, then how did you manage to build this part? Because these wooden beams are actually in the wall itself, so don't think too hard about it, I think. And again, how do you get here? Like, without climbing through these holes. How do you get here? Because there's no ladder, nothing. It just exists. Can you please go? It just exists. It just exists. Don't think too hard about it. And this layout is interesting again. Again, the fire bomb thingy part here. Nothing new here. So, but it's interesting how they decided to layer the floors. Because from a level perspective, fine. I don't have a problem. But from a world building perspective, does it make sense? It kinda is counterintuitive. Why would you have this part right here? Why would you build this? And how do you access it? Probably by a ladder. But you're storing barrels here, so there needs to be some way you can actually put these barrels on this platform. And I just imagine them being very heavy when they're completely full of this material. And this doesn't align with this floor either. It's a bit higher up, this part here. It's a bit higher up, so it doesn't connect to this floor directly. Well, just interesting how they designed this one. But now comes the part that... not the upcoming part, but maybe I put a ladder on here. But no, this is broken off, so the platform would extend to this part over there. You can see it's broken off. So here's a part missing. Just strange. Strange how they built this. And then again, oh, penetration? Yeah. Something had poked through that hole. For some reason made a curve. So maybe it was a curved attack, or it came from down here. Would make more sense. That it actually poked through here against this wall and destroyed the wooden structure on here. That makes more sense. Yeah, this part is interesting now because... Rid of him. When we enter this part, this happens. Holy shit, it's dark. And the lighting is kind of interesting. We have an aura of light around us, which is a pure gameplay aspect, or just purely for gameplay. Because how bad would it be if you couldn't see anything? That would be terrible, right? So we are actually stuck in here, and this knight would attack us. They're actually, the ones with sword and shield are actually pretty easy. You can parry them. The easiest with the buckler, that you probably don't have at this point. You can buy it from the dude who imprisoned you in here. But if they're far away, they sometimes do this attack with where they summon a storm around their shield, and then they jump forward toward you and then slam the shield into the ground, trying to hit you with it. And when you're timing it correctly so that you're not getting hit, you can actually roll behind them and backstab them, and then you can make a wake-up attack. That means when they're recovering from the backstab animation, so they're getting up on their feet again, you can charge a heavy attack, sometimes slightly delayed, because you don't want to hit them when they're invulnerable, so that you can get extra damage in here. And you need to pick up this rusty key, and I think you need to kill him, because right now, locked by some contraption, but if you kill this dude, you can open it. And these doors, you just noticed my camera snapped like 180 degrees. This occurs with some doors. It has, I don't know with what it has to do. Possibly something like this. But this started in, I think in Dark Souls 3, with a specific door in the undead settlement. And it plagued these games from Dark Souls 3 onward. And there's actually a, what's it called? A chest here that you can now open. But because I do have a light source, nice, we can actually have a look at this room. It's interesting how it lights up when you hold up the torch. But what is in here? How did I manage to... What the fuck? But what is actually in here? Some barrels, some random ass tables, some fancy looking golden urns, statues, more paintings of Godric. What is this? What is this painting? I would like to zoom in because... Can I actually? Or... Nope, it's getting dark. I don't know what that is. Oh! Okay. I looked at it wrong. It's the helmet, or yeah, a portrait from the side of one of those Spanish knights. I kinda really looked at it wrong, so the helmet is looking in the right direction. And for some reason I just get hung up with the left side of the actual head, and it looked so weird. Oof. That's a big oof. But yeah, just random stuff in here. For some reason. And these things that I don't know how to call them, with a picture of a Erdtree. Not actually a picture, this is gold. But this is something that would stand at a church, I would assume. Okay, this is actually a bit nicer with the fire up. And I don't know, but... this is the dude that I killed. Okay, let's get down to the bottom of this part. Is there actually... Because for some reason, in my first playthrough of this game, when I got in here, I died to that banished knight, and when I came back, I think Gostok, or the dude who trapped me in there, stood here and was just apologetic. Could be wrong, I don't know. I'm not trying it out, I'm not dying right now. And with the key we got up there in this room, for some reason we can unlock this door. And for some reason they have one room dedicated to a ladder. Not even a staircase, so transporting stuff from up here to down there, or vice versa, is a nightmare, so you basically have to use ropes for that. Getting stuff down there. And more platforming, and this item, you can't reach it right now, but I'll show you how to get to that item in a possibly quite a long time. Fairly easy to get to that item, but again, more platforming. Sometimes this doesn't make any sense how it's built, but you want to jump to that point, which is again elevated, so it doesn't connect to this part directly. Maybe you would put a ladder here, I don't know. Just assume it's a ladder that gets you to this part, where there's another item here. And oh boy, you need to be very tall to be able to shoot through that. So it's not built for normal humans. Oh, and this is interesting. This is silly. Here we have a wall, but instead of a doorway to get on that wall, there is this slit. Let's see, can I actually... Oh, I don't wanna... Ah, I destroyed it. Yeah. This is just silly. How do you get on that wall part? Why even having a wall that you can potentially walk on with crenellations, which are... when you can't even get on that part. Just... And this is what I mean. Is it so hard to just put a doorway here, but that you can't access? So a door that you can't open. They did this in previous titles non-stop. But here's an item and it loops back to this part again. And on the upper side, so we need to jump down again. Climbing up this part. Very high up. I wouldn't climb this up. This is too high for me in real life. No. Maybe with safety gear. This dude will start to push you or grab you, I think grab you, and then poke you in the back with his sword. But most of the time he's not even actually grabbing you. And I don't know for what these chains are. They're not doing anything, right? They're just hanging here. Just random ass chains. And then we have this nothingness, this black hole down here. For some reason they decided to build nothing here. Another one poking through. Actually not penetrating fully to this part of the side. And then we are on another part of the wall. And they decided to put wood here. And no fence, nothing. Very dangerous to walk here. Just imagine in when it's raining, right? I mean, you have a roof on top, but it's... This part of the game is very windy, because you have an actual Stormveil. It's called Stormveil, so there is a raging storm. So when it rains, these steps might be very dangerous, because you could slip and then potentially fall to your death. Oof. So they don't know about safety precautions. So you notice that, or you remember that item that I said that I show you how to get there, you just drop down here and get this item. And here's another Banished Knight, and... do I have a look at this Banished Knight, or do I have a look at another Banished Knight, because he's actually walking? I want one that stands. Oh, and he has glowing eyes. Nice. So the armor itself looks very good, but... Oh, he sees me. And he ignores me again. I think he thought I wasn't a solid object they couldn't get past. Like a barrel of some sort. But this is interesting. They have a horn on their side, on the right shoulder. There is a horn. Which reminds me of two things. First thing, Crucible Knights. a Crucible Knight that we will visit shortly, and they have a dragon part. The horn reminds me of Crucible Knights and Omen, cursed Omen dudes. And then they have this dragon on their helmet, which looks... I mean, the armor looks very expensive, to be honest. This looks completely expensive. What I'm not a fan of are the duck feet. I'm calling them duck feet. Don't care if it's accurate for some historical armor sets, but I don't like it. It looks stupid. And the big bulge, the dick protection, looks also silly in my opinion, but this was fashion in a certain period of time, which I don't know, but it was fashion, like, who cares? We have actually here a tower that we can get into with a very, very long elevator, which I'm gonna rant about later. And we have here these, is it siege equipment or defensive equipment that can build up so that an archer or crossbowman can stand on top of that and get some portable cover. I call it portable cover, with the nice eagle on there. And again, a lot of eagles in here. Yeah, there are a lot of eagles. And how did this one get through, I wonder? Is there a... Oh, okay. Possibly just poked in here. Oh, and there are a few holes as well. So, we got up here. And what now? We have one option to go further up. And then we have an elevator over here, which is going down. And then we have a grace here. Ooh, and here are some helmets. Some banished knight helmets. And actually, the rest of the armor probably. The breastplate, some giant ballistas. Their helmet, which looks very cool. Let's see. Great, they're translucent because I'm too close. They look awesome, really. Especially with the dragon on top. It feels like there are quite some high-ranking soldiers. Looks quite nice. And then this weird horn part here. I don't like that it's getting translucent because I'm too close. I'm not a fan of this. But oh well. Let's just rest here. We even have a nice fire. Oh. There's no hole. So... yeah. Fail. And I'm showing you the Crucible Knight, and then we will loop around here, and then that's it for now, for this part of the episode. We actually managed to get in here, woo! So let's have a look at the room. Kind of looks like a mix of a just random stuff, books and what's it called? Stuff to hold food and drinks in it. Bookshelf, some random ass letters, same letters as before. Weaponry, some boxes, ropes, a carpet, possibly made out of... it looks... I don't know what it's made of. I thought first it was animal hide, but there's a pattern on it, so it's woven, I think. Looks quite cozy. A lot of random tables, though. And then we are on a wall, which is nice. And now I have time to talk about these golden ornaments, because they're on many towers and stuff like that on top. And yes, they look just like random ornaments, but they actually serve a purpose. Actually a purpose that I can think of, and that is again protection from dragons. So imagine a dragon flying around, attacking the castle, and this is why I guess there is a wall on the west side, because of dragons, so they have a hard time to land. Imagine you're a big ass dragon and you want to land, and then you get these spikes in your ass. That would be quite uncomfortable. So it's like these parts on, at least we in Germany have this, and many places on, especially on our train stations, where there are these metal spikes so that birds aren't nesting there. Kind of reminds me of that. Just for dragons in this case. And this part is a asshole level. This short part, because there are in total 4 birds, and they're stuck in barrels. So what they will do is, once you aggro them, they will throw the barrel at you, and it will explode for some reason without a spark. So I recommend shooting the barrel with some fire attack, so it will explode and the bird will sadly fly down this big ass hole. We're gonna talk about this big ass hole, but I think in the next episode. The only thing that I want to show you again is this random ass tower, where there is no entrance to this tower for some reason, which I don't like, but it is what it is, right? And is this bird shit? Is this bird shit? Like, what? Looks like bird shit to me. Aha. Why is there... It's not even a slit you can shoot through. Like, what the fuck? Why? I can actually see the skybox from here. This looks like a corner for some reason there. And the skybox. Corner's probably at a different part, but... No, it looks weird. It looks cool and weird at the same time. The sky texture. The clouds. Looks like it's scrolling upwards. Interesting. But yeah, these birds are assholes. Same birds as before. Now we can see their talons a bit better. And they have these holes to make the blades lighter, I think. Looks quite brutal. So, do you think these birds are prisoners? Feels like it to me. Like, it kind of feels to me like they are prisoners. You want to jump down here. And then you want to jump down here and keep on going. And this is actual genius design, because when you're very keen-eyed, then you will see this item here from up there. And then you think, can I jump down here? Then you try it, and how do I get up there? Oh, there's this part that you can walk on. You jump down here, and then maybe I can get further down. Let me see. Oh yeah, I can get to this part. Interesting, interesting. Here we have a good look at the Chapel of Anticipation, where we started the game. Then you think, now what? Oh yeah, this piece of rock. I guess I can jump down further. And then your heart might stop at this point. But for some reason you survived this. Oh no, you land in these bushes, and these bushes like magically cushion your fall, so you will survive this one, but who cares, right? Now we have a little bug here that will get you the Storm Assault, Ash of War. And you can walk on part of this rock here. Get a nice little item up here, but then, oh no, there is a Crucible Knight. I think this is the weakest Crucible Knight in the game. And for some reason, he stopped making sounds. That's interesting. He stops making sounds once he is on this ground here. And while walking on these stones, he's making sounds. And nope, now he doesn't. So he will stand here for the rest of the time. So we can actually have a look at the armor, which looks amazing in my opinion. This is one of my favorite armor sets. I just wish this sword they had would exist in a small form. Because this sword right now is a great sword that we can obtain in a specific part of the game. But I kind of wish this was like a normal sword. Not a great sword, but a normal sword. But look at the armor. That looks amazing. Depicting the Crucible itself. But just I'm not a lore channel. I'm not doing lore for a reason, because it's very hard to imagine things and write things down. Look how amazing this looks. Tree imagery again, but possibly not the Earth tree. Maybe a different tree, or maybe the Crucible itself. And this armor set looks amazing, so let me show you how you kill him in a cheesy way. If you don't, you can easily parry them, especially with a buckler again. But if you don't like parrying, you can cheese this one. Get his aggro. Evade his attacks. Fairly easy to evade. Run up here. There are no enemies up here. This is your... Oh, sorry. This is your only enemy. And just send this elevator up. And he will die. And this is what I mean by the horn on the one shoulder of the Banished Knights. You get the aspect of the Crucible horns from this one, and you actually grow horns, like magical horns, on your shoulder and dash forward. And these horns of the Banished Knights remind me of them. But they also remind me of the horns, of the more curved horns of the Omens. That's what they're called, the Omen. The dudes that are cursed by the Omen curse. And I wonder what this structure right here is. It reminds me of a part of the Chapel of Anticipation. Maybe there was once a teleporter to get actually gain access to the Chapel of Anticipation, because currently you can get there from the 4 belfries, but it looks very church-like to me, right? It looks like part of a church, chapel, whatever. And then you have this part, which looks maybe like the entry. But I wonder if it looks broken off. Possibly by a dragon attack as well. Maybe the dragon landed here and the whole part of this plateau just crashed down. Very interesting. And now an elevator. And I have problems with elevators in this game. And there's a reason for that, because this looks like a mechanism, right? This is supposed to be a mechanism. You walk on that pressure plate and the whole elevator lifts you up or down. how does this mechanism work? Because let me send this one up. If the mechanism works through the whole platform to the side, there is no connection here. There's nothing that indicates a mechanism to me. And then, or maybe there is a, let me call it down again. Maybe there is a signal that goes up the chain somehow. I don't know how this works. Like, nope, there's no cable of some sort, and I have problems with elevators, and as you can see, and even though when I'm writing this up and when I would go to the side, it would throw me off with this construction. This is not a stable construction whatsoever. It would throw me off. Like, I basically need to stand in the middle and not move in order to not fall down. But oh well. Let's meet the scavenger here. Ah, he isn't there. Lucky me. Usually there is this dude down there groping this dead body here, but for some reason he isn't there. I don't care. I actually don't care. But by this point you can actually go back to Gatekeeper Gaston, whatever his name is, and buy the buckler, if you want. Requires, I think, 13 dexterity. But you see, it's a... I'm just talking about this elevator and then I'm done. It is a mechanism. But how do you lift or lower the elevator itself? This needs to spin, but there's no counterweight. There's nothing you can crank on to lower the elevator. It just makes no sense. So I'm not a fan of elevators, and most elevators in this game are like, don't think too hard about it. And there are actually elevators that are powered by magic, where you can see glowing, particularly the elevators in like in the underground areas like Seofer River, Ainse River. They're magically powered elevators, and this is more believable to me than this elevator, because magic in this game exists. In this world, magic is a force, is something that exists, so it makes sense, but this is still a mechanism that should work with physics, right? But it doesn't make any sense. But of course, it's a nice way to create shortcuts and to loop back so you don't have to backtrack. So from a level design perspective, elevators are a godsend. This is just amazing. But from a world design perspective, this is just... no, this is not working. But I think this concludes the first part of this series, starting with Stormveil Castle, of course. And yeah, I don't know if I keep talking like this. I need 2 or 3 more episodes. I'm trying to wrap this up in the next episode, but maybe there is a bigger episode coming, like 1.5 hours, or I just cut it in 2 if I can't help myself. So if you like long videos, that's great. And I'm trying to keep these things more positively. I know I like point out mistakes a lot, and this is what I like just imagine, and I want to talk about this door later, but just imagine it, right? You see a game that you really like, and you see mistakes in the games, and it feels one-sided, right? Because I want to give feedback. This is like giving feedback. This is like teaching people how to do stuff, or maybe that people are keeping things in mind. Maybe this needs to make more sense. Why are there no doors on towers? Make platforms that are interesting to play through, but that are realistic, right? So, but it's always a tug of war, I feel like. Level design versus world design. Because for a level, this is fun. But for world design, there are some aspects that don't make any sense. And it's a balance. It's very hard to get things completely right. There's always something that could be improved, that makes no sense, but it's very hard to spot those things when you're actually working on stuff. Because once you're starting to work on things, at least that's how it works for me, when I'm starting to work on things, as I see on these videos again, like, sometimes I just wanna redo it, I wanna redo it because it's not good enough, and then there are other times where I spend all the time and I wanna leave it like that. It's not perfect, but I'm leaving it like that, and I'm not perfect either. I make tons of mistakes, even with these videos. I'm not happy with how I sound, I'm not happy with sometimes the frame rate, sometimes the video looks choppy for some reason, despite my PC being fairly strong. Like, I don't know how to make things better. I can only do so much without any knowledge. I can try so many times, but at some point you must draw the line and say, it's finished. I know it's not perfect, but I'm just pointing out things that I notice so that people might think of, might keep these things in mind, right? For example, put some doors on your towers, even though they're not accessible. Don't care. They don't need to be accessible. It's good that there are... Just imagine everything would be accessible in this game. Then you could, like, spend 30-40 hours in just one level. And just imagine you could climb up every single tower, and then there is nothing. You would be so disappointed. Right? So from a level design perspective, from a game design perspective, in all, it makes sense to not grant access to every single part, right? But then the realism has to tank. But fairly easy fix would be, for example, this tower over there. Easy fix would be just to put a door on the side that maybe is broken down, maybe, I don't know, that you can't open, that you can't even interact with. Like, but then you could argue, why can't I open this door? This is so stupid. But you can't make everyone happy. And if you put a cannot be opened from the side, or it's locked, then people are searching for keys that don't exist, so you can't make it perfect for everyone. And these things that I'm pointing out aren't a deal breaker. This is currently my favorite game, probably. Yeah, this is my favorite game, although I'm not a fan of the multiplayer itself, but I made another video about the multiplayer, maybe you want to watch that. But I'm talking too much, so see ya in the next part of this video series about Stormveil Castle. Goodbye.